Regular monthly meeting, May 23rd, 2019 is called to order at 7:30 p.m. The Edison School. Can I have roll call, please?
Mr. Banta?
Here.
Dr. Cohen? Here. Mrs. Frankel? Present. Ms. Quackenbush? Here. Mr. Rosenberg?
Here.
Mr. Santana?
Present.
Mr. Spindell? Mrs. Wallace?
Here.
Mr. Barbarulo?
Here. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of the public bodies in which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Fairlawn Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof distributed to the persons on the approved list, posted in the Board of Education Administrative Office and sent to the Bergen Rec and the Star Ledger. The announcement posting for the regular monthly meeting along with the date, place, and time thereof was distributed on May 9, 2019. The items to be discussed during the closed work session, and we are having a closed work session, of the May 23, 2019 regular monthly meeting may include personnel matters, student matters, legal matters, negotiations and/or grievances, and tactics and techniques utilized in protecting public safety and property. The results of these discussions will be made public as soon as possible. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to our superintendent, Mr. Nick Garcia.
Good evening, everyone. So just two agenda items real quick before I turn it over to the president, turn it back over to him, is one, something new that we're trying this year that we've never done before, in line with our district goal of creating more inclusive and transition opportunities for our students. We are creating an 8th grade transition to the high school on June 7th. Both TJ and Memorial Middle School students will all go over to the high school on that day. We're going to have, we thought it would be a great day for the students to get a chance to meet each other in the high school. We're going to divide the students up, do a lot of fun activities with them, out on the field, in the gym, with the band. They're going to wear different colored t-shirts. Some kids from TJ's may have gray on, other kids from Memorial may have gray, they may be a group, and we're going to give the students a chance to really get to know each other before the school year starts. So we're really excited. I don't believe this has happened before. There were some questions about potentially maybe we could do a dance, but we said, well, are the kids really going to talk to each other? They're going to go with their clique of friends. Boys are going to stand on one side, girls are going to stand on one side. If maybe that was my dance, I don't know. But we thought this would be a more productive, educational, team-building activity for the students. So we're excited about that on June 7th. As promised, we will be having a presentation on an update to our REACH program on June 19th. There will be one during the day. Dr. Lacatina and Ms. Kelly D will be presenting during the day with teachers, some of the REACH teachers as well, and then they'll be doing a presentation again at night as well. So we'll be giving everybody an update on what we are envisioning the REACH program will look like for the 19-20 school year and moving forward. Also, though, I believe there's PD hours in here for REACH teachers over the summer to continue working on it as well. So it is still a work in progress, but we have a really good vision on what the REACH program will look like, the new upgrades to it moving forward. So I hope that you can come out on June 19th and hear some more about it. We also wanted to take it away from this forum of it being in a board meeting or a work session, so it's more of a parent night and there's no limitation on the time. Sorry. Sorry to Dr. Lacatina. I will, there's also a resolution that's on the agenda that I am going to turn over. Do you want to speak about that?
Yes. You want?
All right.
What? No. Okay, we had a board member that brought up a resolution, wrote up a resolution for the rest of the board to present to the mayor of council. And the board resolution would be, whereas the Fairlawn Board of Education represents the community's interest in the governance and oversight of the school district that serves the educational needs of over 5,200 children, and whereas for the last several years, the Fairlawn Board of Education has informed the community that we are running out of classroom space due to soaring in student enrollment of approximately 100 students per year. Whereas the Fairlawn Board of Education has had to implement a temporary policy commonly known as soft quarters to alleviate some of the impact from overcrowding, and whereas overcrowding required the district to recently pass a referendum to expand our 2 middle schools as well as 2 previous referendums, 2002 and 2013, which, by the way, 2013 one was for all-day kindergarten. Now therefore be resolved that the Fairlawn Board of Education formally requests the Mayor and Borough Council of Fairlawn be mindful that our schools are overcrowded and taken that into consideration when contemplating any potential rezoning of Fairlawn parcels not already zoned residential, and be it further resolved that the copy of this resolution shall be forwarded to each member of the Fairlawn Borough Council. So this was brought up, and we will be discussing this later on, and then probably in closed session about going forward or any changes to it, and then we'll let you know where we're going with it. Oh, okay, so we'll be discussing it when it comes up on the agenda, I apologize. Okay?
The last item on our agenda, under the superintendent reports, is everybody here, or I believe, knows that we were looking into a new food service provider. We went out to RFP to see if somebody could replace our current provider and offer us, something new and different and exciting. And I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Barley so she can explain the process and where we are at with that.
So we have exciting news after going through a very extensive evaluation process with a 6-member evaluation committee, interviewing different companies, looking at the finances of the 3 proposals that we received. We decided to go with Aramark as our food service management provider. That's a motion F9B on the agenda, so the board will be taking action on that tonight. In this proposal, we received a larger guarantee than what we're currently getting, which is great. We're looking to really focus on the entire program and enhancing the program overall. And we feel that what this company, what Aramark offers, is going to really provide that for us as a district. So we're excited, and it'll be, I think, a nice new venture.
Can I add something?
Sure.
Just so everybody knows, we had a professional company that actually wrote up the RFP for the district. They're very stringent on what they're looking for. There's also federal guidelines that all these food companies have to follow. But in the interview process, it was very good. We had parents, PTA parents, presidents that were here. Plus, we had principals from all levels on it. And we basically interviewed both of them. And I think the thing that we also went out to a field, I couldn't make it, but other members of the committee went out to a field visit of where they are at this moment to see how they're serving and what they are. It just was very exciting, and it was just, I was very impressed most with the woman that's going to be running the district. She just had this attitude that she doesn't want anything going to her children that she wouldn't serve to her own children. And by the way, she just had a baby 6 months ago when she was here. So that impressed me big time, just being here, getting grilled. So very, very excited, and hopefully it works and changes things. And we're looking at a lot more healthier items and options, and they're looking to put some snack bars in the elementary schools for the kids and stuff like that. So there's a lot of exciting things that you're going to see. So we're excited. So it went well. That's it. Marcia, do you have anything else? Okay. At this time, we're going to go open up to public comments on the agenda. And if you have any comments on the agenda, step up to the podium. Please state your name, where you live, and sign in, please. I appreciate it.
Hi, Dawn Ebner, Fairlawn Education Association, teacher at the high school. I have actually a number of questions on the agenda. So, start out page 18. All the way up at the top, HS8, the one-to-one initiative. My question is, if there's a little bit of an explanation as to what that workshop is going to look like, who's going to be involved, is it administration, teachers, who's, what's going to...
It's primarily gonna be for teachers, we just don't know yet, because as part of the one-to-one initiative, we're still trying to figure out which device it's actually going to be, where we have it narrowed down to 2 at this point. We're hoping that we can make a decision within the next couple of weeks, but we know we're gonna have one-to-one professional development over the summer, so we wanted to make sure that we had it on here, so that everybody can see that we're going to have one-to-one training, but we're not sure what it's going to look like yet. When I have more information, I can share that.
Okay. All right, then, page 24. I'm sorry, it's on page 23. The agenda is numbered differently than it was on mine. Relative to letter E, for the extended school year, are we talking about the certificated staff for that, for item E? Teachers, is that what we're talking about for the
Yeah.
extended school year?
Yeah,
Okay.
not the case managers.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
this is just the
The teachers who are gonna be.
teachers for the extended school.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll see the case managers for any summer employment for testing and stuff like that should make the June agenda.
Okay. And then the next, on the same page there, letter F, I'm just wondering, is there a specific reason that we are using out-of-district paraprofessionals for the extended school year as opposed to our own paraprofessionals?
Those are
They
our
are.
professionals.
There are,
They're just
not
meeting the needs of
placed.
students in out-of-district placements.
Oh, so there, okay, so there are paraprofessionals, but they're going someplace
Yes.
else to do it? Okay,
there are paraprofessionals.
okay. As that, I didn't understand the way that read, because it sounded like out-of-district. Okay. All right, page 41. And I might get page off depending on how the numbers are. Page 41, R2E. The application for extraordinary aid,
Yes.
do we?
Page 40 up top.
40,
Yeah,
yes,
no,
I'm
no,
sorry.
I'm just letting everybody else.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Page 40 up
Page
top.
40. Do we have the amount or when the amount is going to be available, what that extraordinary aid is?
We don't know. We apply for a certain amount, the state doesn't tell us exactly what they're going to give us back. You know,
We
Brooke, do you
actually
want-
won't find that out until
August
after
usually?
until after August. We submit a certain amount, and then they tell us what we're eligible for, and then they generally fund it at like 60% of what we asked for, and that number changes every year.
Yeah.
Okay, and will that number be reported out at a board meeting in September, or it's gonna be on the agenda again that we can get that number?
I'm not
I
sure.
don't know if we ever reported it. I don't,
Sure.
we'll
So
look
I
into what
can,
we.
I can request it
Yeah,
separately?
yeah,
Okay. But that should be like September, you would know?
we hope. We never know. It's
Never
Department of
know.
Education.
All right, moving on. It was initially on page 47, but I'm not gonna 46 into 47. Just a statement again regarding the substitute service and the need for an increased number of available subs to ensure that we have enough adequate subs. And whether it be this company or another company that can assist us in that process, I think that's very important. Page 49. Once again, just another statement, this is letter O, near the bottom of the page, regarding Care Plus. The Education Association would prefer if these individuals were actually district employees as opposed to an outsourced resource for assisting our students with the mental health needs that they have. Moving on, page 50, letter S. I am requesting that the Fairlawn Education Association receives a copy of that new agreement between the Board of Ed and Delta Dental. Get that to me, or if I need to submit an individual press.
You can just send me an email.
Send you an email, got it.
Nothing has changed in the provisions of that
Okay.
contract. It's just because of,
The dates have changed.
yeah.
51. R6C. all district positions corresponding with the written job description as they define all the existing responsibilities. Once again, these are some of these positions that we have these job descriptions for, part of the plea bargaining unit job descriptions.
Are these?
Are those some of those items in there? Yes? Okay. So I'll be requesting a copy of that as well.
These are the ones that were already provided to you?
No, it just says approves all district positions and corresponding written job descriptions, so. So I would like to see, I know I have received a few copies of some of the positions for the plea bargaining unit, but I know I don't have all of them.
Well, I'm
And-
sorry, what was that? Dawn?
The job description.
The job descriptions
Oh, yeah, the job description.
are 6C.
Yeah, the ones that you received were the ones for the ones you requested. So you-
Correct,
Yeah,
correct.
okay. No,
Correct.
I just want that noted that.
Yeah, the ones that I requested, we
The ones that
received
you
copies for,
requested,
but
we gave
I
you.
just wanted to make,
Okay.
I just was initially making sure that this is also all the free ones. so.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that.
Yes.
Somehow, in some fashion, they did it.
Okay. All right, and then finally, although I'll probably be back, I will be back later. Addendum 4 and 5. That's page 61, 62. And this is regarding the shared services for the special law enforcement officers, page 61, 62. And this is just a comment, not a question. I just want to state that the association is appreciative to the Board of Education as well as the Fair Lawn Borough for adding these positions in the schools to increase the safety of the students and the staff alike. So I just want to thank both the board and the borough for continuing with the special police and safety officers. Okay. Thank you very much. I tried to get it all organized.
Go ahead, David.
Thanks for saving me the time.
Huh?
Those who didn't do that for Dawn, though. I guess I rate, maybe I rate higher than you. I don't know.
They're in negotiations, so she might not be in a good mood.
A question about E2 with the marching band, page 12. What is the expense for that marching in the Memorial Day parade?
It's the expenses, the trucks, having the guys, overtime, loading it, unloading it, band equipment, being there for hours. There's a lot of
I mean,
labor that goes along with it.
no,
We're not paying the
absolutely.
kids.
No, well, yeah, I can hope.
It was a good question, though. It wasn't the first time we heard it.
No, but yeah, having a kid in it, I was actually excited. It's the first time doing it. They actually were just rehearsing this afternoon. So, F9B on the food service. I just want to congratulate you for making a big move. Aramark's a pretty significant big company, and I'm excited to hear how they're going to introduce themselves to the school communities, and I'm sure there'll be more on that once this gets approved. And, that's exciting.
We have to approve them first.
No, I know, that's exactly what I'm saying. I know, I wasn't asking for a plan. I know
No, I'm just saying, but I will tell you this though, just so they do plan on getting every PTA, PTO, and setting up meetings with the parents.
I'm sure it's not the first rodeo, and I'm sure they know how to do that. So,
They're very excited.
that'll be great. F11C, let me see if it's still on page 36. Who writes those grants? That's it's a safety grant. I'm just curious as to how that process happens. Is
It's
that you?
actually
Your office?
our technology department actually handles that, since most of what we ask for is security cameras or swipe access. It has a lot to do with technology, so they help us write the grant, and then I review it and approve it.
And then while you're on that page, on F11D, can you explain what the naming rights concession is? I thought I understood it, and I'm not sure I understand what that is.
Sure, so this was something that we had discussed last year and approved a concept of this in September of last year. So what it is, it's a popular method that other districts have used in order to have advertising revenue over a long period of time, so 5 years, 3 years. Basically, it gives any person who wants a proposal company to hang a sign on certain areas that we designate at Sasso Field. With the idea being that we know how many people from the public use that, and it's a great form of advertising for them.
So, I mean, would you be renaming Sasso Field?
No, so it would be, you know, Mickey Mouse Club at Sasso Field. So the name Sasso Field remains intact. It's just,
So it'd be like Columbia Bank at Sasso Field, I don't know.
yeah, or whomever.
Yeah, I think Columbia Bank has a better chance of making Mouse. And then finally, yeah, I think it's ironic that addendum 3 sits right in front of addendum 4, where you're getting, you know, great cooperation between the council and the Board of Ed in terms of the financing of the officers, and something that, you know, a lot of people agreed that was really needed. And then addendum 3, you basically tell them, like, we don't trust you to, you know, do what's best for the town. So I hope you guys vote the right way on that one. You know, I think it's a political move, but that's just one man's opinion. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else from the public? Any comments on the agenda? Just state your name and sign in.
Vladimir Itkin, 1709 Greenwood Drive. So, David, thank you for asking a couple of my questions. So I basically have a couple of small ones then. On page 5, where you list how many kids you have in the school, would it be possible to add a column for how many kids the school is intended? Let's say, for example, just an example, Forest has 265 kids in total, but when the school is built, it is intended for a certain number of kids. Is it like 300 or 266 or?
Really, I admire your question. I think it would give a false sense of hope, especially when we use things like dual space, where a classroom could be split. We could use it for multiple different things, where an art room could be converted into a classroom. So for me to say that we could really hold 500 students really isn't ideal. So I wouldn't feel comfortable putting a column like that on there with a number. I understand what you're asking, but to me, it's just every school is so different in Fairlawn and their capacity, and trust me, we are being very crafty, especially with our enrollment issue that we have here in Fairlawn, where we're looking at them on a daily basis and saying, where could, if we need an extra classroom, or if we need an extra speech room or an OT room, look at it. So I think it would be,
So
I don't feel very comfortable doing it.
I understand. So there's no fixed number that the school is intended for. It can be fluid. And on the same page, last line you say, Bergen Tech out of District 57. Where is BCA, Bergen County Academies, and maybe if there are any other Bergen County schools?
I'm sorry, which one are you looking at?
Bergen Tech.
Bergen
Yeah.
Tech.
On the same page?
Yeah,
Same
all the
page,
way behind.
57. Where's Bergen County Academies?
I think they're included in that.
That is included. Bergen Tech, guys, Bergen Academies is included.
Oh, this is all together.
It's
All together, yes.
Okay. Alright,
Yes,
thank
it
you.
is. Anybody else have anything, any comments from the public? Okay, seeing none? Board comments on the agenda items. Gene?
Yes, page 48, R5J. Again, that's another cooperation. Page 48, R5J.
Oh, thank you, Jim.
That's another example of the board and the borough working together. They came to us a few years ago and asked, well, actually, they went to Aramark, and Aramark said, you're not big enough. So they came to us, I don't know whose idea it was, whether it was Brooks or Joanne, where they piggyback on our Aramark people. So by working with them, using their our manager, and they hired their own custodians, but it all flows through us, they probably saved $200,000 a year. So I think that's a great example of us working together with the Borough Council.
That
And
was the shared service agreement, like I had a shared service agreement.
right. I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly how it came up, but I know that they, the only way they could do it is to do it through us, so we're very happy to help them out. In regard to item number 3 on page 60, I kind of feel the same way you do, David. I don't know that this is necessary. I'd rather collaborate than dictate to the council. I know I wouldn't want it the other way around, where the council said, hey, Board of Ed, here's a resolution, we think you're not doing your job properly, and please keep in mind that, you know, this is something that we think you should do. We spent a long time, a lot of years, keeping a good relationship with the borough, with administration and borough administration, the board and the borough shared services. Prior to that, the board-borough liaison committee. And I think that if we want to have a dialogue with the borough council, the better way to do it would be to actually have a dialogue with the borough council, to speak to them face to face. If that means the 9 of us and the 5 of them, I think they'd be willing to do that. I know it's not meant as an insult. It's certainly not meant that way at all. But I don't know that the borough council is going to take it that way. I don't want them to think it's a shot at them, but they might think it is. I just think that it's better as the governing body for the borough and the governing body for the Board of Ed, that we have a dialogue, we sit down and talk about what our needs are.
Your iPhone is at 90%.
90%? Ooh, you better charge it.
Shouldn't even speak, it's like.
But I just think that it would be a better way to do it. I don't think that this resolution is necessary. I think if we talk to the town, and I have, when I was president, and I think Ron backed me up, they understand what can happen when huge developments are put into the town. And they fought crossings for years, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to stop it, and they couldn't. So it's not that they don't understand or that they don't care. But I think working together is probably a better way to do it. That's it, thanks, Ron.
Cindy?
Oh, yeah, I also would like to speak on addendum number 3. Not to repeat what Jean said, but to piggyback on David and Jean. I also think that this is not a move that our board should be making at this time. We have spent so many years working for a relationship, a good relationship between the board and borough. We set up a shared services committee, which has been extremely successful for both the borough and the board. Our special threes is a collaboration of the borough and the board working together. I would hate to see anything be misconstrued the wrong way. Not that maybe it wouldn't, maybe it would. I'm not willing to take that chance. I don't want to disturb any kind of dialogue that we have with our borough council. It's very important that we have a dialogue. At the open public meeting that we had with shared services, I think it was the last one, when we were talking about the special threes, one of the things on the agenda was space and how the board could get involved. And the borough said that they would alert the board when meetings were taking place about zoning and whatever, and that we could send a representative to the board or bring the shared services committee in to address that. I think they are concerned about the overcrowding like we are concerned about the overcrowding. I don't think they're just out there saying, yes, let's build as much as we can and take every green space possible in the town. So I am not supporting this addendum. I just think it's not necessary. I think they know we're working together, and I don't want it to do anything to disturb what we have taken so long to establish.
Thank you, Cindy. Mike?
All right, so first I'm also going to talk on addendum 3, but I'm not going to keep rehashing it, and thank you, David. First of all, I think the problem does not lie in the Borough Council, because every talk I've had with members of the Borough Council, they are very, very well aware of the strain on the school system. I think we should think about talking to the planning board and zoning board, because they're the ones who actually make the decisions about what's going to be built. I will repeat the one thing, you know, I was shared services chair for many years, and as a matter of fact, we were even asked to speak at school boards convention about our shared services relationship between the borough and us, and we were really in the forefront. We were one of the first ones to really have that relationship going. And it was very interesting to hear other districts that didn't have that relationship between the Borough Council and the Board of Ed. So I'm not in support of this as it's written because, quite frankly, yes, we have an overcrowding issue, but I think that the town is very aware of that and that this is just unnecessary and we should continue to work with the town as we have. And I do like the fact that at a previous shared services meeting that we did make that agreement because to tell you the truth, you know, I'll say it, we should have been at planning board and zoning board meetings when these things were coming up in the past. Maybe we didn't know about them, but we should be there because if you want to ask how it's going to affect the schools, ask the schools. You know, just like if you want to know how it's going to affect emergency services, well, ask the emergency services. Don't just, you know, decide a number. So that's my thing. Just I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Mary had a hand up. I said I got you down, Mary.
All right, and just on the whatever this, the special threes
4 and
contract.
5.
What?
Addendums 4 and 5.
Okay, thank you. That's why I couldn't find it again. You know, I've always said, yeah, and I was also looking at the SRO. So I've always said that the best shared service agreement we had, like going back probably 15 years, probably, was the SRO in the high school. It has fostered so many different relationships. It has fostered such goodwill between the students and the police department, and it's really, really been a good deal. And then when we decided to put the middle school special threes in, because I was always thinking an SRO part-time between the two middle schools. And then when we were able to put the special threes in, when that law came into effect, I said, oh, this is great because the middle school could use the same thing. And then I had some reservations at first about the elementary school special threes, but I was convinced really quickly about the need and listening to the police chief and listening to what the police chief said. We had the police chief at a meeting and talking about it, and now seeing that come to fruition this year and seeing how well received the special threes are in the district and how well they interact with all levels of students, including at this school. I am so for keeping those special threes, and I'm glad that we're doing it, and I'm glad, thank you, Nick, for making it happen.
You're done?
No.
No problem. Mark?
Yes,
Oh, hello.
No. Mark had his hand up first, and then I got you down. I got my list, Mary.
All right, good
Okay,
job.
I wanted to comment on page 36, F11D. It was already spoken about, authorization for naming rights. I want to know how this is different than prior years' requests for advertising, whether it be signs on the fences at Sasso Field, or whether it be on buses that we had discussed, or whether it be in the auditorium. How is this different?
This is basically that request coming to fruition, and this is a platform that other districts have used with a lot of success, meaning there's not a lot of maintenance required on our end, and it's a long period of time, which gives us the opportunity to have a greater source of revenue. So we're starting small, since we'll do this as a pilot and see what kind of response we get.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is right in line with one of our policies, right?
It is, we have a policy in place for advertising.
The question I have is, have the laws changed over the last 2 or 3 years? That we were told we were prohibited from doing this a few years ago.
I'm not sure.
No, to answer your question, I think what the difference
Only on
is.
buses, yeah.
No, not just buses, but I think the difference is, because one of the questions that was brought up by a previous board member was selling advertising like signs. Like, I'll just use my company, for example,
Right.
like my plumbing company. I won't say my name, because then everybody thinks I'm advertising, which I'm not. But anyway, I'm not.
What's the name of that company?
It's on Facebook. You'll find it. It's on Facebook and you'll find it. Anyway,
Sharing the profit.
anyway, that was like individual, and one of the biggest problems we had, because I know we looked at other districts, like who collects the money? Does the football club get it, does the lacrosse club get it, then it goes back to the board, and this and that. I think this strictly falls under the state laws that, and I do know somebody that's actually does this and sells this, like scoreboards, and they sell these big signs and everything else. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's the one difference, so it's like almost like real small, this is like almost like a naming rights, like Columbia Bank sign, which they own every scoreboard in town anyway.
Okay, so I'm glad that we're starting to do this, and it's in its infancy, and I hope we can expand on it in the years to come.
We're gonna rename Nick's office.
Listen, when Under Armour says we're gonna give you, $300,000 for your district, we'll say, no problem, we'll put H's all over.
The other one is what Dawn spoke about, page 46, part 5D, when it comes to substitutes. I know Dawn brought this up last year, and I had requested that we look into this. I would really like to have the board look into this more thoroughly, because every substitute that is not provided for our students has a negative impact on the students' learning. So if we can put this in one of our workshops or so, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Mary,
Okay,
now it's your turn.
first, with regard to whatever the thing is to send to the council, I apologize, okay. Yes, with regard to the resolution to send to the council, I concur with what everyone has said. I'm not in favor of sending it to council, but I would strongly urge us to look into how we could communicate the context of that to the planning board, because that was a very good point, that it is the planning board that might need to be reminded. So I would ask that we explore that a little bit. Second, on page 32, I would like to thank the Forest PTA for their donation for the grade 1 trip to the Bronx.
Okay, is that Mary?
That's it, I'm done, I'm
Thank you,
sure.
Mary. Emily,
So I want to comment on the naming rights for the field. Mark, I really appreciated your framing this as a pilot, as a step toward a broader initiative to try to look for ways to increase revenues, which, looking at our last budget, we didn't have really much in the kind of private revenues category, so I'm glad to hear you're making some progress on this front, and I do support it. I was just wanting to request that the board receive the copy of the RFP once it is ready, because that would be helpful.
Just to speak to that, once the advertisement, once you approve it and the advertisement goes out, we are gonna put the RFP on our website, so we encourage everybody to let everybody know that there's an RFP out there, because that's good for us.
Mickey Mouse.
Okay. I also wanted to talk about, on page 14 of the agenda, E5, the curriculum textbook and material adoption, to see we're getting some new math books, and we're looking at the teacher's editions. The cost initially struck me as a lot of money for textbooks that, as we go to one-on-one initiatives, I'm not quite sure how textbooks fit into the teacher planning of our instructional needs, but I also realized that the category of our budget on textbooks is minuscule, and we don't spend a lot of money on textbooks to begin with, so in that context, okay. But I just wanted to make a broader point that I am, and others are very aware of the student average scores on math testing, on the state standard, on the state tests for math in the middle schools in particular. And I'm really hoping that as the administration is looking into curricular materials, both online and in terms of textbooks, that it fits into whatever their plans are to make progress on our middle school math score issue, and also a broader value of the importance of math integrated with STEAM and just teaching math in ways that are different than how we learned math back when we were in school, to continue to modernize and update the mathematics curriculum for the benefit.
Talking new math?
What's that?
Talking about new math?
I don't know what they all know what it is, but I'm looking at the textbook and I'm like, oh, this looks like stuff that I did in 8th grade, and I'm just wondering, this is only one data point for the math curriculum, of course, but just taking the opportunity to further encourage the administration to look for promising ways to make progress in this area for the benefit of all of our students in STEAM. Yeah. Thank you.
Please. One last thing, no, I got you. You said you want to be last, so I'm going to say my thing. I do like the naming rights, very excited about that, and, a lot of things with the curriculum that we're looking into. I did speak to Dr. Lacatina this afternoon regarding that. And I also was a little concerned about the cost, but also in there, as part of the one-to-one with some of the licensing that's going in there with all our things. But at the moment, we still need to keep that up. I just wanted to add one thing. I constantly hear it, I'm on the open space committee in town. Just for everybody's information, there's not a lot of open space left in Fairlawn. Okay, there really isn't, I'm not being sarcastic. There's not a lot that you could build major projects on. So I understand the rezoning, which does go to planning and zoning, planning boards, stuff. I do know a project where they did try to get something and it got knocked down right away. One of the biggest issues, because this comes up all the time and I hear it in meetings, is not the big developments. If you drive around Fairlawn, see how many houses are being added onto. So they went from 2-bedroom to 5-bedroom. That becomes a problem, okay? And also, there's a lot of houses, I'm sorry I'll say it, there's multiple families living in the houses. So that's an issue, but you can't, you only can control height on that. Like in towns, they have a height limit where you can only go high, and then of course pervious coverage or anything, and I know this because I'm in the construction business. But that's a big problem, okay? And that's something that you can't really control, because if somebody comes in and knocks the house down, they can do what they want to do, okay? Like I said, to a limit. But I will tell you, I am on the open space committee. We haven't had a meeting in a couple of months, but we are having one in June. And there is not a lot of open space left. There is a little space over by Route 4, by the way. You can maybe get a park in there. That's about it. Wilkin.
I hope I have enough sufficient time to express myself. I will start with in regards to the G1. I don't have the page.
Okay.
Please. G1, I would like to see the minutes echo some part of some comments that Emily made in previous meetings. I would like to see the minutes show more detail in terms of how board members express themselves and who actually say what within the board. G2.
Well, can I just ask you, I don't know.
I would like to see, for example, if a board member expresses an idea, I would like to see who was it that expressed that idea, because I can go back to that person and learn more from it, rather than on the minutes seeing the board express this idea. Like it doesn't, it's not detailed, like you don't know who say what, and that's what I like to. All right, G2, policy 5756. I will be supporting this policy, the transgender student. However, I did request information about the legality of informing parents. I did not receive that information, but I will be supporting the policy.
You didn't receive the attachment I sent them?
There was no attachment.
Oh, I sent it as part of when I answered the questions there.
It was in an email.
Yeah.
Maybe my computer, because I have a
I'll resend it, we'll make sure you get it, but it was there.
It was
Okay.
there.
Yeah, no problem.
In regards to the field trips on the agenda,
2. Page 12,
Page 12.
that's extracurricular.
I am not comfortable with 40, I know I requested this information, but I'm not comfortable as a board member with seeing, with my experience in education and seeing 3 chaperones for 40 students. That would be having over 10 students per chaperone. I'm uncomfortable with that.
Well, there's 4 chaperones because the nurses considered one, and it's high school.
Then she should be listed as one.
No, but I'm just saying, she's the nurse, but that's all right, that's fine.
I am looking forward to seeing also workshops related to math. As Emily stated, there's a lot of support in the community. We do an excellent job in promoting reading, but I think we need to put put a little push also on math. I would like to thank administration on F9B for including the parents on the committee. That was something that I really wanted to see, and I'm glad it happened. Who better than parents to tell you certain things about food? On F9C, I will be not supporting the item. F9.
35.
F9, the Plaza Memorandum of Agreement, I will have no comments, but I will not be supporting it. F9D, I also would like to know more information on that item, but I think the F9D, on the naming rights. I know when I used to live in Richwood, the hospital, I believe the hospital had its name on the field next to the high school there, and it generates a lot of revenue. So I commend the administration for that. That was F9D. That was F11D? I apologize. All right. In regards to, I propose the resolution that is causing controversy, to my dismay, to my disappointment. I'm proud of the resolution, and I'm going to state the reason for it, and I hope there is support, even though the comments are very disappointing to me. We have Promenade, we have development on Plaza Road, we have a huge amount of two families homes in Fairlawn. And then on top of that, echoing the board president's comments, we have many people who live in town, and you have 10, 12 people living in an apartment when that apartment was meant for 5, 6 people. You know, and I think we need to do whatever it takes to make sure we put our children and taxpayers first. And allowing a development to take over our town and bringing so many kids to the point that we have to raise taxes and and take on a debt of millions of dollars to the point that we have to have 3 resolutions. If that's not important, I don't know what's important. There's nothing controversial about that. This resolution, it took me a long time. I thank for the members, for the 2 members that took their time, their kindness to give me some feedback. But we can't vote to increase taxes due to overcrowding, and then at the same time hide away from our responsibility. And I think this resolution is saying we have to be the leaders that our children need right now. Public institutions have to speak as a team and through resolutions. I understand that some people are friends with some council members, but this is not about friendships. This is not about I'm gonna hurt the feelings of my buddy in the council. This is about speaking as a whole, united as a team, and letting them know professionally and via a resolution what we are dealing with. This is a serious resolution. This is not, they're gonna stop cooperating with us because we're telling them we have an overcrowding crisis. And even though some of you stated they may know it, the council changes every few years. You know, and this is a non-political resolution. This is all about the children. If you read the resolution, it states the problems we are facing. And just as a point of information for some of you, because I did extensive research, there's 2% available land in Fairlawn that could potentially be rezoned. And as the board president stated, we do not have available land, but we have industrial sites that are abandoned. And the owners of that land they have the legal right to ask the council to rezone that. Right? So, we don't know who's going to be on the council for you this year. They have an election. We don't know who's going to be next year or the following year. We have to do whatever it takes for us to limit this 100 children increase a year that we are not prepared for. Because this is more taxes, this is more staff, more programs, and there's only so much that people of Fairlawn can take. There's only so much the taxpayers can take. And you know, the council have fine ladies and fine gentlemen, but this is not personal. This resolution, if anybody read it, if anybody here were on the council and you read the resolution and you are mad that you finished with her, you're not doing your job. This is about the children and the taxpayers. This is not about my feelings with her because you could have told me at the supermarket. We have to carry ourselves as a body, not as I'm gonna hurt someone's feeling, because it's a two-way street. We cooperate with them, they have to cooperate with us. It's a two-way street. If we keep doing the same thing that we've been doing for 10, 20, and more years, we're gonna keep getting the same result. And as a board member, I feel there's a pushback for change on this board. There's a pushback for new ideas. There's a pushback for welcoming new thought and critical thinking when it comes to doing things differently than what we have done. I'm friends with the mayor. I can call him right now and say, we have this. But this is not about individualism. This is about what's best for the children and the taxpayer. If we right now we are paying for 3 referendums at the same time, 3 mortgages, and we have to tell someone that they have to pay $19,000 in taxes, $16,000 in taxes, $12,000 in taxes, it better be justified. And if there's anything that we could potentially do, why not do it? We did the research. This resolution was put through Mr. Green, and I understand that we cannot mention zoning and planning board through my research because it opens a legal can of worms. The zoning and the planning board, they are like juries, right? So we can, what's the word? We can, I don't know if spoil the jury or we cannot make the jury biased because the developers have a right to, you know, come before the council and ask for rezoning. We can't increase taxes and then hide our heads in the sand when it comes to showing leadership as a board. And the council is obviously not in favor for thinking outside the box as far as I'm concerned. And if you vote no on this resolution, I hope you vote no on increasing the taxes next year. Thank you.
Nick wants to say something, then Elise.
Mr. Santana, I heard you, I heard the rest of the board, and as the superintendent of the school district, it's my responsibility and my job to have a working relationship with the mayor of Fairlawn. We've always had a good working relationship. I foresee us continuing to have a good working relationship. Whether that council changes, then I'll still work to have a good working relationship and communicate the needs of the school district and the concerns that we have in the school district, whether it's overcrowding or not overcrowding or whatever that concern may be at any given time. But right now, we have a very good working relationship and we're going to continue to have those conversations.
Elise.
You know, I just want to say that I started, you know, not thinking that it was, I'm going to say a big deal, but I didn't think sending the council a note would be a detrimental thing. And then you know, sitting here tonight and hearing what some of the other, you know, board members are saying, and fully, you know, came in wanting to support the resolution, and I'm still not even sure, you know, how I feel about voting for the resolution. But listening to what everyone is saying, you know, it kind of does align with what we're talking about, goals and how we do things. And, you know, I think that the objective of what you're trying to do just by having this discussion now, you know, it's out there. So whether the resolution passes or not, I think the words are out there that the schools are overcrowded, and that you brought that book into everyone's attention, not just board members' attention. I just think as a suggestion, because so many people said so many, you know, several different things, like what you just said about the planning board or the zoning board, that we can't, you know, bias them in any way. I'm not sure if this is the exact resolution that we should be sending them. And I think it might be, and I don't know if anybody would agree with me or not, and I think I said this to you when we spoke about it, you know, maybe this is an item that we should put on a work session to actually discuss, or maybe we should have a meeting of the full board with the full council to speak about some of these items that we're concerned with. And, you know, I don't know how anybody feels about that, because right now I'm very conflicted about what this says and how I go to meetings with the town, and I've mentioned that we were gonna send them some kind of resolution or some kind of note. Didn't really get any pushback, you know, at that level. But you know, we also, you know, what Jean said, I mean, that's all very true, what Nick just said. I wanna support the superintendent, and if you don't think that this is something we should do right now, you know, then maybe, you know, maybe it's something that we should hold off on doing. So, like I said, I'm very conflicted, and I just wanted to put that out there.
Can I respond?
Okay, I'm gonna speak first, and then I get Emily. And I'm not gonna have it going back and forth. I'm gonna tell you is right now, we're not going back and forth on this. We're gonna just say a few more comments and that's it. I'm gonna be short and brief. One, I'll say it again, and mostly everybody here, and by the way, Facebook's probably blowing up right now. I'm gonna say it again. The Radburn Crossings, or whatever they're calling it right now, the town spent 7 years and over $2 million+ fighting that development. They lost. It wasn't the town. Radburn owned the property, they won in the court to do what they wanted to at the time. Personally, the town wanted to make that all fields, baseball fields, and football and soccer and everything else. That's what they really wanted. I know that for a fact. We are gonna be having a shared services meeting. I've already reached out to the mayor and the liaison, so we're trying to find a date. We sent something out, so that something else. So I just wanted to say I respect. One thing I heard tonight that bothers me, whether somebody votes with you or against you, that's their ability and that's America, it's democratic, it's their right. If you wanna make it personal, that's wrong. This is business, this isn't personal. It's about the children of Fairlawn. And we're all in here doing the same thing. And we all know these schools are very overcrowded. But you know what? It's a tribute to the town, the type of community is, the great school system we have, and there's a lot of other things. As far as two-family houses, that's something they can control about rezoning, making two families in certain areas. But if they're already zoned that, there's nothing to do about it. Industrial, they can. But like I said, being on the open space committee, there isn't a lot of regular open space. I'm gonna let Emily, if you wanted to say something, you said, right? Okay, I'm gonna let Emily speak, and I'm keeping this to 2 minutes.
Sure.
I'm telling you right now, I'm never ending this conversation. Emily, Wilkin, and then Mike, and that's it.
I just wanted to echo what Elise said, that maybe this is a good opportunity to have a meeting with all 5 council members and all 9 board members to talk about ways that we can prevent and monitor these situations. I know it's not just new developments, there's specific sales of land that are seeking variances that affect pedestrian safety around our schools. There's impacts on schools of things they do that we might not even be thinking of, that they would really appreciate having more information before they make decisions. We can help them get the right analysis of how a particular decision would impact our current students and future students. And I think that's a conversation that now might be a good time for all elected officials to have that conversation together, as opposed to it happening just through select members on shared services or in between the superintendent and the mayor exclusively. It's something that maybe all of us as a group could entertain a meeting.
I'll reach out as the president of the board, I'll reach out to the mayor and I'll see what this thought process is. Just to give you a heads up too, also, one of the things, when anybody puts an application in for any type of variance, especially variance, they got a lot of information about traffic control, and a whole lot of other stuff that goes into it. I mean, it's a good point, but that all has to be on their application. And believe me, if it's missing one thing, it's gone. Wilken, go ahead.
You know, the content of this resolution have been touched upon by almost every board member here in the last, I would say, 40 days. This is not the first time we discuss the issue of overcrowding and how we feel about it. Almost everybody here, as far as I recall, for the last 40 days, we have been speaking about the same thing for almost 40 days. So now when it comes the time to put it together in a piece of paper and say we're speaking as a one voice, I mean, forget it has my name. Forget it says, forget Wilken Santana is sponsoring it. This is for children. Because when we are paying the tax increase that we approve, and I approve it, to educate all of our children, $15 for the average assessed home per month, half of that it's to pay for the referendum. So we can't referendum our way out of the overcrowding, you know? And if it's gonna hurt people's feelings and they're gonna stop, you know, calling you or being buddy, this is about what's best for children and the taxpayers.
You got 30 seconds.
And just to point really to answer real quick to what you say, Elise, you know, this resolution was viewed by Mr. Green, and he didn't see no legal issues with it. This is a non-binding resolution. This resolution does no harm, but it may make someone feel uncomfortable if you have been dealing with the council in a different fashion. I think we need to do it in a more professional fashion, speak with one voice, together as a team. Because if we can bring, if we can bring a potential policy to restrict the use of social media by board members, and I know that was taken away, it wasn't,
All right,
we didn't
yeah,
talk.
that's it. Now
Why
you're off
can't
the
we
subject.
vote yes
Sorry.
on something that benefits the children?
All right.
Why would you vote no?
Mike,
All right, I need to say a couple of
2
things.
minutes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do I have 2 minutes starting now?
Yeah,
Thank you.
You
All
said
right.
5 seconds.
All right, so anyway, I need to say a couple of things because this got like really personal and I was looking out
Let's not make
to,
it personal.
I was looking out to the audience as it was being said and could imagine that audience too, and some mouths opened, okay? Let me get something straight. I make no decisions on this board because of people I like, I don't like, I have relationships with on the council, I have relationships with in any organization that I belong to. I make decisions on this board for what I think is the best for our school system and our students. I am very, very offended right now. Extremely offended, okay? And yes, we need progressive ideas on this board. We have a great combination of people on this board, okay? And just because I've been on the board for 12 years does not mean that I don't know what I'm doing and that I don't have progressive ideas on how to move this board forward. And I think I've proven that to the voters of Fair Lawn and to the public and our students, okay? So I'm very offended. I think that this, I was against this resolution to begin with, and I made my points that I was against this resolution. I don't think it's necessary. I think the first meeting should be between our Shared Services Committee and the town, and then we can move it forward if they all feel that we should open it up to the council and the town, because we have a Shared Services Committee for a reason. And I support Nick's decision. Nick does have, I do know that Nick has a good relationship with the mayor and council. I don't like the road that we're going into, and I'm very offended tonight.
Moving on. Okay, let's go to the action item. G1, approval of minutes. G2, reading of policies and adoption. Motion for G1 and 2.
So moved.
Mary and all, roll call.
Mr. Banta?
Yes.
Dr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel?
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
On G1, no. And G2, yes.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes.
Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo?
Yes. All right, S1, no items. S2, approval of county state submission requirements. S3, no items. S4, no items. S5, no items. I need a motion for resolution S1 through 5.
So moved.
Emily? Any questions on the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Banta?
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel? Yes. Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
Dr. Cohen?
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo?
Yes.
You forgot me.
Mr. Spindell?
Still a board member.
I was trying to skip around.
All right, E1, attendance at conferences, convention, and workshops. E2, approval of extracurricular trips. E3, approval of student teachers, practicums and field observation. Mary, I'm surprised you didn't comment on that. I'm surprised you didn't say a word, I'm sorry, Mary.
Thank you.
You're slipping on that, Mary. E4, approval of bedside home instruction. E5, curriculum and textbook material adoptions. No items on E6 or 7. E8, approval of summer workshops. Missing something? Oh, I'm sorry, E9, no items, I apologize. Have a motion for E1 to 9.
So moved.
Second.
Mike and Mary. Any questions on the motions? I have a question on the motion? No? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Banta?
Yes.
Dr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel?
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
No on E2, yes on everything else.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes.
Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo?
Yes. Okay, P1, approval of appointments. Hold on, I'm sorry. P2, I got it. P2, approval of resignation and retirements. P3, approval of leave of absences, amendments of leave and rescission of leave. P4, change of personnel assignment, status and codes. P5, additional remuneration.
Remuneration.
Yeah, remuneration. I'm
Close
sorry.
enough, close enough.
I tried. P6, other business. That's it. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the motion?
Mary and Lee.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Banta?
Yes.
Dr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel?
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
I'm abstaining on P4A, 8. And on P5C, abstaining.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes.
Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo?
Yes. Okay, SC1, approval of tuition and transportation. SC2, approval of bedside home instruction for classified. SC3, no items. SC4, no items. SC5, no items. Can I have a motion for SC1
So
through
moved.
5?
Second.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions on the motion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Banta?
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush? Yes. Mr. Spindell?
Yes.
Mr. Santana?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Dr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel?
Yes.
Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
And Mr. Barbarulo?
Yes. Okay, F1, approval of acceptance of gifts and grants. Approval of discards, F2. F3, approval of bills payable payroll. F4, approval of bills payable. F5, approval of board secretary's report. F6, approval of board treasurer's report. F7, approval of transfers. F8, no items. F9, approval of contracts, consortiums, and cooperatives. F10, no items. F11, other business. Can I have a motion between F1 and 11?
So moved. Second.
Any questions on the motion? Can I have roll call, please?
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
I am voting no on F9C. Yes on everything.
Mrs. Wallace,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. Okay, R1, approval of the district's tax payment schedule. You have no choice to say yes to that. R2, approval of state submissions and requirements. R3, appointments of officers. R4, professional appointments. R5, approval of contracts, consortium. Okay, we're pulling R5, approval of contracts, and we're pulling D. Okay, the one with the substitute service. Okay. We're pulling R5D. Okay?
Because of the wording in
Yeah,
it, and
there's wording in the language in the contract.
Yeah.
we decided.
Yeah, so don't. It's coming back. R6, approval of manuals. Getting there, sorry, people. R7, where's my R7? Okay, I got it, accounting. R8, memberships. R9, the community school. And R10, other business. And I need a motion for R1 through 10.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes, but no on R1, just kidding.
You can, when they come, you can deal with them.
Give me your address.
Yeah, we'll give you.
Mrs. Wallace,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. Okay. Before I open up the meeting to public comments on new business. I know. I apologize. One second. Addendum one we can't do yet because we gotta go into closed session for that. And addendum 4 and 5, we're gonna, right? Yeah, so we're gonna vote on addendum 3. All right, that's the only one. Addendum 1 and 2, 4 and 5 are closed session items. We're gonna come back out and vote on 1, 2, 4, and 5. So, addendum 3, I need a motion for addendum 3.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mary, seconded, and roll call, please.
Dr. Cohen,
No.
Ms. Quackenbush,
No.
Mrs. Wallace,
No.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
No.
Mr. Banta,
No.
Mr. Spindell,
No.
Mrs. Frankel,
I see.
okay, Mr. Barbarulo.
No. Okay, now, we're gonna, before I open up the floor, comments on new business. I would like to introduce John from Aramark, because I know he came here, he wanted to say something, now that it's official. So John, it's all yours.
I appreciate it, thank you.
By the way, just so everybody knows, John is the regional director, and he will be here as much as our person that is actually running the show here. You'll see him a lot, if not, we will drag him here. We already
Looking
know.
forward to it. My name is John McLaughlin, I represent Aramark Food Service. I just came here tonight to say thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to working with the board administration, the Board of Ed, you guys as parents, but most importantly, the community and the kids. I think that's why we're all here today, and I hear the rhetoric preached from everybody. It's about the community, it's about the kids, and it's about us providing the best program that's possible for them to get through the day. I live in Stamford, I'm not very far from here. I have other business in Connecticut, in New Jersey, excuse me. So I'm over the bridge quite often, so you will see me in the school district quite a lot over the next year. Over the next couple of months, there's going to be a transition period from the incumbent to our startup process, and it can be stressful, but rest assured, we are here to make that transition as smoothly as possible, and thank you guys for the opportunity, and I look forward to the partnership.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I'm gonna open up the floor to the public comments on new business. Anybody have any new business?
Hi, my name is Hargu, and address, can you say that?
Just put your address down on there.
So I have a question, one of them is regarding, the agenda itself. I just missed it out. On page 14, the books, the math books, I have a question like, it's.
Point of order. The gentleman's comments is about an item on the agenda, isn't this on anything other than on the agenda?
New business. So you should have made that comment on the agenda.
Motion to allow him to
Sorry.
speak.
But, I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna allow him to speak.
Thank you. Thank you.
I got it, guys, I'm gonna let him speak.
Thank you. So on page 14, it says the quantity 3-year online text and 510 books. I want to ask, what is the online text? What does it mean?
Well, I'm gonna refer that to Dr. Lacatina, who's our curriculum specialist and assistant superintendent, so she knows. I'm not gonna get into that. 'Cause that's-
So it's the online, it's the text online, but in addition to that, there are other resources such as graphing calculators that are available. They have a variety of videos, sort of like a Khan Academy, so there's videos that will teach the kids how to do the different types of problems that are located within the textbooks. It provides opportunities for additional practice, teachers to create quizzes. So there are a lot of resources for students and for the teachers that are included with the online portion of it.
Okay. And my second question is about the new business. It's about the laptops for the one-on-one tech. I wanted to ask, like, Paramus, what they do is usually they have the laptops in school and students get it as soon as they enter school. Are we students gonna get the laptops to take home, or is it just gonna be in school?
Right now at high school, because we're talking about rolling it out at the high school in the infancy stages, we're talking about the students taking the device home with them.
Okay. And my third question is, how does the school work with the work orders for teachers? Is there like a system? Because right now I have 2 teachers who are like having some issues with technical issues with their like technology, and one of the teachers, it has been since like the beginning of the year, there was a problem with the smart board, the projector, the remote wouldn't turn on, the remote wouldn't work. And the second is with one of the teachers had a problem with the speakers. So I want to ask, like, how does the school work with the work orders, and why is it too slow to get the processes done?
So you should have the teachers reach out to the building level principals. If the
Yeah.
work order was not, somebody did not come and answer the help ticket. If not, then they should speak after the building principal, then they can speak, they can reach out to me as well.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Michelle Matthew, I'm here speaking for PTA Council. My one question or request I have is regarding Peach Jar. Are we going to continue to use that next year? Okay. So one of the issues that came up this year was that some of the PTAs and PTOs lost money on fundraisers that required parents to print out the form off of Peach Jar and send it into the school.
specifically things like pizza sales at the elementary school. So while we will continue to use Peach Jar, I'm going to request that you allow PTAs and PTOs the discretion to print flyers that need to be returned to the school. Because even though the district is saving money, saving paper and trees using Peach Jar, you're now putting it on the parents to print things out and send it in. So you're really not saving so much paper in these cases, and it's causing them to lose money. They did lose, some schools did lose significant amounts for their pizza sales this year, and I'm not sure about other things, I'm just aware of that. We don't want to make it harder for our PTAs and PTOs to raise money for the schools, which is what they're doing. So I would request that you allow them, in cases that they feel it might impact their sales, allow them to make send home the flyers. If the issue is using the community school, which we usually pay the community school to print out flyers for us, let us know and we can try to find a printer in town that will provide us with a deal as far as printing. I know we usually use community school because you're the cheapest for us and we can pay per item, but I would like to see that be an option for them because some of the schools were not ready for this yet, and hopefully as the time goes on and Peach Jar becomes more easy for them to do, but things that have to come back to the school, you need to allow us to make print out flyers as needed.
So, I have a couple things I'd like to say.
Yep.
One, we've been in communication this school year about Peach Jar and any issues that anybody may be having. I know that I have allowed the PTA, when they reached out to me, I know just this week, they said we have a pizza sale coming up. Do you mind if we send home a paper copy? And my response is, no, as long as it goes on Peach Jar, because it involved money going home. So it goes home in two different avenues, on Peach Jar and for the return of the money. Other PTAs are figuring out a way to use the service so the parents can just go on something like Google Doc or whatever it is, where they could just pay that way through a service. I understand there's a fee with that, but that fee may actually be cheaper than if you actually went and copied it. So the third thing is, this week, we broke 1 million sheets of paper on Peach Jar. We saved 1 million sheets of colored paper. So I know that we may be losing a little bit of money here or there, but the money that we saved as a district is astronomical. But I absolutely shall, without a doubt, I have no problem.
I just don't want to put any added pressure on the PTAs to worry about, they do their budgets at the beginning of the year, and, some money wasn't there because of this. And it's a great thing, don't get me wrong, I love that we have all these flyers online and we don't have to print and spend the money ourselves to pay. But there are some cases where we may need next year to continue to print out flyers. So as long as we're allowing that.
Yeah, as long as it's on an individual basis,
Yes.
I usually we have no problem. We've been working with
Yes.
everybody to try to get through
I
this
just want to make
process.
sure that continues for
Can I
next
ask
year.
a question? When a PTA or PTO sends home, if we went through Peach Jar, like this, let's use a bake sale, okay? That goes out to the whole district?
Depends on how you pick it.
Oh, that's what I'm asking, the question.
So some people may want to just do per school,
Oh,
per
that's what I'm saying.
grade.
So they can do their school, they can do their.
We can do the whole district.
It's just an issue of not everyone opening and being able to print
No, I
something out.
understand that, I just
That's
wanted to
all.
understand for myself, because I do understand that if a school is doing something, the people on the other side might not really be interested in a bake sale.
No, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
But also you might want them to be in things, so,
Yeah,
I'm just
there's
trying to
certain
understand
things-
it.
I get excited sometimes when I see them, and I'm like, oh wow, Lindcrest is having something at Jersey Mike's, I want to go to Jersey Mike's, I
Yeah.
can sell for $3.
Yes, in many ways, it has helped
I mean, I wanna
as
support
far as
all the
getting
schools.
information out there.
Alright.
Thank you. So my other issue is regarding insurance for the PTAs and PTOs. So all of the PTAs and PTOs have their own insurance that is for their school, for their fundraisers and events. The high school was recently asked to cover an event that is not PTA run. So I just need to make it clear, we are not allowed to cover events that are not PTA events. So if it's a school club or something else, we want to help the way we can, but we cannot provide our insurance for things that are not us. We will get in trouble for that. So if it's a school club or something like that, we don't know where the request originated, but I just wanted to put it out there that, we can't be covering things that are not.
We can speak about it there.
Yes,
We
no
can get some
problem.
more details.
The last thing I have is regarding the 4th and 5th grade moving up to the middle school next year. So,
Relax there in the first, Carol.
So I just wanted to clarify, at our last PTA council meeting, there's been a lot of inconsistency as far as what's being provided for fourth grades. Now, I know fifth grade has its own committees, and some of the things that they do may not be appropriate for fourth grade, but that would be on a school basis as far as what kind of events you do for your fourth grade. However, the moving up, I think, should be consistent within the district with all the schools. There should be some type of moving up for our fourth graders. And there seems to be some inconsistency between the schools as far as what is provided. These kids are moving up, they're leaving their school, they should be. And I understand it's difficult to do 2 full moving up ceremonies, but something should be provided for them. This was a concern that also came up.
I will look into it.
Great.
Well, the question I have, so you're asking that once we go to the 5th grade up there?
Well, next year, fourth
No,
and fifth
no,
grade
no,
are
no,
coming
no,
up.
no,
no, no.
So there's some
Yeah, yeah.
question about what
No, I
fourth
got
grade
you,
will be
okay.
getting.
Transition.
You know, next year it will be,
Yes,
the
yes.
year after will be an issue, but for this year, I know there's some concern about doing 2, but I think we should be providing something for our
Okay.
fourth
The
grade.
administration will look.
Great.
Anything else?
That would be like a no-brainer. I would have thought.
Hi, I'm Neha. I live in the Crossings at 1232 Plaza Road. I feel like I need to apologize.
You
I've
don't.
learned after coming to live in Fairlawn, the saga that went into our home and community. I want to promise you that I'm loving living here. I love that I have felt included in my school community. I'm loving the diversity here. And that I will do my best to give back to this community more than we take. And I just wanted to say, I appreciate the effort the overall board is making in cooperating and trying to come up with a solution. Planning, overcrowding, these are serious problems. And I think that if we could just approach it as a community together, we're here now, you know, there's 25 homes occupied. So when we speak about it, perhaps we could just be mindful of that a bit. And yes, if we could just come at it from a place of gratitude, like we all are as residents of Crossings. We're very happy and grateful to be here. And our kids are very grateful to be a part of the school community too. Thank you.
Welcome to Fairlawn.
Thank you, and I totally understand. By no means was I saying before that, you know, when, you gotta understand, when I was all coming about, before you were here, it was just, that's what they were looking at, is
Yes.
overcrowding.
Yes.
And yes, it is here, and absolutely, I mean, we welcome every child, every person into this community, they're here, and that's the way it is. And I would never look at anybody, and I don't think anybody else would, and hopefully nobody else in the community look at like, you know, it's nice, I mean, good luck with the train every night, just, I hear it, and I'm about 12 blocks away, so. Anybody else have, anything else? Well. Hello, Rob.
I'm Robin.
Hi, I'm Robin Willens. I wanted to thank the administration and the board for putting together the REACH presentation in June. We're really excited as parents to be hearing more about the program and what's going to be offered and some of the changes that are coming up. My question is there going to be publicity for this event, and in what fashion?
Yeah, we're gonna be putting it out. We just picked the date this week. We'll be going out on Peach Jar, and we'll be putting it on social media, and we'll be publicizing it to the whole community.
Okay, there'll be an RSVP. Oh, great. Okay. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Rob.
It'll even tonight, Liz will be putting it out. I knew you were here out there. Liz is putting it out. She'll do a synopsis of the board, some highlights, and that'll be on there as well. So it'll be out probably tomorrow on social media from the board about when the date is and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll definitely be publicizing it.
Thank you, Rob. Anybody else, new business?
No.
Legal asks. Hi, David Travner, Analysis Meeting. A couple of things. One, I wanted to reiterate what Michelle said, as a parent of who's going to be a fourth grader next year. The fundraising thing is going to be really tricky. We talked about it at the Lincrest meetings, and I'm sure all 7 schools have been talked about. We're now looking to fundraise from the same amount of people, twice as much, so that the fourth graders can have their experience and the fifth graders can have their experience. So, you know, please be mindful of that when trying to find the most effective ways to get, as much money raised. And if that means, sending flyers home, then I hope that's okay. I understand you save a lot of money for the school district, but if we lose money as fourth grade committees and fifth grade committees, nobody wins there.
Wholeheartedly understand.
I was able to see on Tuesday that the council honored Flip for their great performance this year, and it kind of calls to mind. I remember you guys had talked about last year about starting to honor organizations and teams and what have you, people that do well and achieve in the school district. I haven't seen much of that this year here at board meetings. And it's great that the council honored them. It would be great if the Board of Education honored them as well. I mean, I know you came to their send-off, and I know you guys care about that, but I would like to see more of that here at the board and getting the kids involved. They also do a junior mayor program where they get a kid from probably each school around during the year to come up and be part of it. And maybe that's something you guys can consider. I don't know, but you talked about engagement, and I know you guys have talked about it. Find different ways to engage in the community. I'd love to see that. The other thing involving engagement, I know usually I act as the town crier and put these, the fact that the meetings are going on, and that there's a link to YouTube. I didn't do it tonight. I would hope that you guys, now that you've embraced the social media and the district website, that maybe you guys do that. Put on the on the website, hey, here's the agenda, it's out. Hey, here's on Facebook, and do that. I love to hear why you wouldn't do it, because to me it sounds like if you're trying to engage the public, that's one of the ways to do it. And I guess last, I just want to point out that a board member tonight voted against my daughter and the rest of the high school and marching in the Memorial Day Parade. I'm appalled by that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Dave, just to answer your question about the engagement. Mr. Nossi and I have talked about it, and we were kind of waiting for a few other things to maybe make it one big celebration, because I'm happy to speak to the volleyball team that's at the state semifinals. So if they win and get flipped, we can get a lot of people all involved in the same thing. So.
Why not do it once a month?
Well,
you have 11 of these meetings?
Yes, we do, but you know what? There's a lot of agenda items sometimes. Sometimes it does its time, and then also you have to see what it is. So sometimes, and you know what? Whether it's done once a month, because I've been around here when we did recognize the band and stuff. We do some nights, we do the music and everything else. If we recognize them, that's fine. I mean, if we do it all together, or if we do it separately, but we'll make sure that we get on top of it, so. Anybody else have anything?
Mrs. Simsek, from Warren Point. Going back to both grades, moving up from elementary, saying that we're gonna look into what we're gonna do for fourth grade. If we could get that like yesterday, that would be great, because the committees are making up their calendars for next year, and they need to know what they're fundraising for in order to get those fundraising calendars done.
Thank you. I will make sure that I call Mr. Nossi about 4 times a day, remind him, because he really so just around. So. Yes.
Can I ask a question to the PTA Council President?
Yeah, go ahead.
Michelle?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Do the PTA Council still have in the bylaws of each of the elementary schools regarding the 5th grade fundraising? Is that still in the bylaws? Years ago, there used to be set,
It was
and each
regarding-
school implemented it?
Yes, it was regarding how much money you can charge a family, a parent per, I believe we capped it at $50 is what we could charge.
Right.
We try to fundraise so that we don't have to charge that much, but some of the schools were not doing fundraising.
Because I'm thinking maybe now you will have to incorporate
Yeah.
4th grade
Well,
into
it's
the
gonna have to
bylaws.
switch to 4th
That's just something I'm throwing out there, because I
Yes.
know it was a very big, huge thing when we got it into the bylaws of all of the elementaries, so that everybody was on the same page, and one school wasn't raising $55,000 and another school was raising 10.
Okay, I will look into that.
Your turn now.
As the board is aware, this is in negotiations here between the Fair Lawn Education Association and the Fair Lawn Board of Education. As the president of the Fair Lawn Education Association, I'm going to talk about the current status of our negotiations. Since February, Since February, the parties have had 5 meetings to negotiate the contract, which is set to expire on June 30th of this year. We have not been able to reach a settlement. As a result, impasse has been filed. This is the third time in the past 4 negotiations that we have unfortunately reached this juncture. The Fair Lawn Education Association is hoping to reach a settlement quickly to not only provide a smooth transition from one contract to the next for the teachers, paraprofessionals, counselors, child study team members, nurses in the district, but to also reduce the burden of any additional tax dollars being spent on mediation, fact-finding, and lawyers' fees. It is difficult on everyone when contracts go unsettled, and we'd like to lessen the potential stress on all parties involved by reaching a fair settlement that allows Fair Lawn to be competitive with the surrounding districts. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, any board comments on new business? Mike, and then Mark.
Last week, Mark and I attended this absolutely great presentation at the high school that was also given to the students this week? Yesterday. And it was on drug use, but there was an emphasis on vaping and the vaping problem. And I have to say, I go to a lot of programs as both a teacher and a board member. And this one affected me greatly. It affected me greatly. And what affected me the most was the number, 2017, 2018, the data of how many middle school kids are vaping and how many high school kids are vaping, and how fast every year it's growing more and more. So I go by the day when kids were smoking cigarettes, and you know, you go past a kid you knew and he'd cup the cigarette, and like you didn't know that he was smoking a cigarette. But that problem was being reduced every year, it seemed. And the smoking was less and less and less. And then all of a sudden, where smoking wasn't really a problem, I'm not saying it was eradicated, of course it wasn't eradicated, but now we have vaping. And vaping, as parents, you should be scared. You should be scared. I speak to students. I've spoken to my own family, and I asked them a question. I asked them, what's the most popular flavor of Juuls? And just about every kid I've asked, and it's been plenty lately, will tell you mango and mint. Well, just the fact that they know that middle school kids know that the most popular flavor of Juuls are what you put in a vape pen. I hope I know. I hope I'm giving the right terms. Just that they know that tells me, is very telling. Just the fact, including where I work, that I've been able, that I know where they do it and how many people are doing it, and as low as 6th graders are doing it. It is very, very scary, because one thing I learned from them is that we don't know what the effects are going to be because it hasn't been around enough. We do know that one Juul is worth more than one pack of cigarettes. And it is very scary for me as a board member, as a parent, as a grandparent, because if it keeps going up in size, it's going to keep going until we somehow break the chain. So I'm really, really happy, Mr. Garcia, that this program was given to every high school student. The biggest shame of this was there was about 20 parents in the audience. the night it was given to the parents.
Maybe what you're talking about, and it will get more people out next time we do it.
Right. But parents, you should be worried and you should be checking your kids' stuff, because guess what? All they need to charge their vape pen is a USB. So you probably, if you looked at their computer, wouldn't even notice that it was there. So it's very scary to me. I really appreciate the fact that that you did. Something I've been thinking about on another topic, and it's kind of the topic of Radburn Crossings itself, but not, and you know, the council keeps touting their zero increase and stuff, and I really appreciate the fact that the council could have a zero increase. The problem that we're gonna have as a school system is as the ratables come in for Radburn Crossings, the town doesn't have to increase really the number of police cars and the number of DPW workers and stuff to handle that. But our budget is going to be increasing faster than the ratables are coming in, and harder, because we have to educate the students. And we gladly educate every student in Fairlawn, and we always have. That's what we're here for. But I just want to, you know, there's a lot of talk out there. It's not, the school budget is not the same as the town budget. And as our enrollment increases, it's impossible to have a zero increase, and which is what people are looking for. I know, I would love it too, because I pay taxes and stuff. So that's just my say. Thank you for letting me talk.
You're welcome. Mark, you're marking and then
The presentation that Michael spoke about was sponsored by the Sunrise Rotary as well as the Fairlawn Alliance for Substance Prevention. And Michael hit it right when he said about the vaping not being safe. A lot of people, especially our teenagers, feel that vaping is safe. There's nicotine in all the vaping, and obviously that is not something that is good for you. And also, vaping is only really an alternative, not a safe alternative, for someone who wants to quit smoking, but not for someone who wants to start the vaping process. As Michael said, there are very few community members that were there, and I'm asking that this was sponsored by someone, by two committees or so within the city. I'm hoping that the Board of Ed can next time send somebody to stream that particular meeting, that workshop, or whatever you want to call it, that we find essential, so that those parents who are unable to attend can still see it. And that's all that I have to say.
Mark, are they, is there any plans, do you know, like they want to do this again at some point?
This was hit on the high school where they wanted it to be viewed.
You know what I'm saying, but like, do they plan on doing the presentation?
Again, no, because it was brought forth to the public as well as to the students, so everybody, you know, saw what they were supposed to. I agree that it was sponsored. And a lot of these programs from the substance abuse prevention are free of charge, and Nick has now sent the vice principal to the committees so that there's more awareness of what's being offered, and this can be taken back to Nick and to the administration so that we can take more benefit from what's being offered.
Mark has been in constant communication with me throughout the year about the great offerings of the Municipal Alliance. So recently, we just assigned our assistant principal from the high school to attend the nightly meetings with Mark so that she can bring a lot of these great resources back to the high school and the district overall.
She's also on Sunrise Rotary with yourself, Mike, and myself, who are also on the Sunrise Rotary. We both fund that.
Emily.
So I have comments from the recent meeting of the community school as well as the delegates assembly that Jean and I attended from the New Jersey School Boards Association. But I just wanted to say that I'm not going to be reporting on that right now. I'm going to save that for a June work session. I know we missed our May work session because of circumstances, but I think this meeting is a good indication of what we lose when we don't have the work sessions. So I think we should all feel really good that that's now the norm, that we have work sessions, and I'm going to follow by not giving my report here and do it at work session where we could actually have a conversation about things. The only other thing I wanted to say was just thank you to the community. I want to express my own gratitude for community members who came out tonight and offered really good questions and comments and just continue to people to keep on communicating. That's it.
Thank you.
Yes, I want to say something that is very special to me. This last Tuesday, I earned my third college degree. I want to thank, I really want to thank the teachers, because if it wasn't for those teachers who believed in me since high school, I would not have accomplished the little bit that I have accomplished educationally and professionally. You know, it takes a caring and inspiring teacher to see that potential on a student and to cheer that student up and to push the student to reach a higher levels. And you know, I came to this country when I was 16 years old. I didn't know any English. And this Tuesday, this last Tuesday, I earned my second master's degree. And I'm very proud of my accomplishment, but the reason I'm saying it is because a teacher recommended me for my first degree. A teacher recommended me for my second degree. And a teacher recommended me for my third degree. And you know, we educators, I'm also an educator myself, we never stop learning. And I know my wife always says, you're always studying, you're always reading. And being a lifelong learner is something very special. And you know, we have a lot of dedicated teachers who give up their free time to volunteer and sponsor, not for money. Not everything has to be paid. That's one thing that I learned as a teacher. You don't have to get paid for everything, you know? And a lot of teachers in our town, they do amazing things for our children. And I just want to say, you know, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. This will take 10 seconds. Mr. Robert F. Smith, the wealthiest African American in the United States.
Talking about paying for all the college?
Yes, the wealthiest African American in this great nation that welcomes so many people. Well, he's wealthier than Oprah. He, during a graduation speech, he announced to the graduates that he's paying for all of their loans. 400 graduates, around $40 million. And what struck me, and I put it on my page on Facebook, which has very few people.
You about to offer Farrell on that?
Which is very private. It's very private. This quote stuck in my heart. You can actually make more money being smarter than being strong or fast. Not everyone is going to be Michael Jordan. Not everyone is going to be Derek Jeter. But if you read every day before you go to bed, on school days, and if you work very hard on your math, especially with the STEM, which is in high demand in our country, the sky is the limit. So thank you to all those dedicated teachers out there in Farallon. You are to be commended for your hard work going above and beyond.
Thank you. Mary.
Last comment from me. I am a member of the negotiating team that's negotiating for the board with the Farallon Education Association. And I personally would like also to see a very speedy coming together of the contract and a very speedy resolution. So everything you said to us, Dawn, I say back to you and the Education Association. I hope that we can work together to make this go more quickly. That's what I would have liked to have seen.
Okay, any other comments from the board on new business? Okay. right, the upcoming meetings, on 6/13/19, we're gonna have a special action meeting, rehiring of the staff at 7 PM. 6:20 is gonna be our work session. I will be late to our work session on that 20th. My nephew is graduating at 6:30. I'm not missing his graduation. 6:27 is our.
What time is 6:20?
Excuse me?
What time is it 6:20?
6:20 is at 7:30.
I'll be on the phone.
And then, at 6:27 is our monthly board meeting at 7:30. I will not be here, Elise will be running the meeting, I'll be away on vacation. I'm leaving that morning, and I'm sorry, I'm not canceling my vacation for a day to be here. Sorry.
I will not be here either.
Sorry, people. It's my nice big 3-day vacation I got. All right, those are our meetings, upcoming meetings. I need a motion to go into closed
So
session.
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We are gonna be coming, if you wanna stay around, we have nothing to do tonight.